the first thing I would say is don't discount the manual process, because if you discount the manual process and you haven't quite figured that out, you try to automate it too soon, you're going to automatically create mistakes. We've discovered that you need to do a process 10, 15, 20 times before you turn around and start automating it. Now, there are obviously different types of processes where, let's say you're just switching to a new genre or switching to a new industry, and you can recognize, hey, this is something I automated in the past. And in that case, I've seen it be successful to automate sooner, 2 or 3 times. But generally speaking, we recommend doing that process manually at least 10 or 15 times before you even consider automation. And then once you consider that automation, you got to ask yourself, how many times is this going to come up again? So, is this something that's going to take up 15 minutes of my day, an hour of my week, or an hour a month? If it's not more than that, more than 15 minutes a day, more than an hour a week, or more than an hour a month, it's probably not worth your time to investigate automation.
One of the easiest things to do in business, in my opinion, is procrastinate. Here, this is going to be weird for your video, but I have a little poster here that I'll show you that I always think of. And it says, are you productive or just being busy? And this is the easiest thing to do in business. And again, I was lucky enough to get started in business at a very young age. So I already wasted my years of my life doing this and realizing it. In business, it is so easy to just start doing things that the customers will never see. It's never going to make a difference to your bottom line. And what's dangerous is as your business gets bigger and bigger, there's more busy work that gets generated. And it's really easy for entrepreneurs to get stuck at a certain level because they can't delegate things out. They can't figure out how to run the company. So how are focus and mindset important? I think, I'm always repeating to myself, do things customers see. It is so easy to go work on your books or something. And yes, we all have to work on our books, but while you're doing it, understand that it's not growing your business. There's no business growth happening, and all of your competitors are out there growing your business while you're working on your books and doing little financial analysis and stuff. And if that's really so important to you, go hire someone to do the financial analysis for you and deliver that report to you. But this is the evolution of a business person as they get, bigger and bigger. So it's really tough to get past all these plateaus. And that's one of the most rewarding parts about business is you have to develop yourself personally to get to those greater levels. So I think you always have to be repeating to yourself, do things customers see. I'm going to take you through a few little things that I constantly repeat to myself. So do things customers see. There's a concept I like. Everyone knows about the 80-20 rule. I've flipped that in my head to get more things done to the 99-1 rule. And I think about it like this, right? Like Paulina and I are doing this interview right now, and if you went through and you edited all of these things and you got them all ready to go on the website, the last 1% of work is actually putting them on the website and clicking the publish button, right? What a lot of entrepreneurs do is they never get to that point. Well, here's the thing. All of the work that you did before that is entirely useless now. It actually hurt your company because 99% of the effectiveness of any task comes in the last 1% of the work. So I am naturally a starter, as a lot of startup guys are, and I've had to really force myself to finish that last 1 to 5% of each project. And I can't tell you, it was years of me almost completing projects, getting them at 95%, and then forgetting about them. They never get implemented, and it was just a huge waste of time. The company is actually worse off. So that's where I came up with the 99-1 rule. If you're going to do a task, make sure the customers are going to see it, and make sure that you're doing the last 1% of the work, because 99% of the results probably come in that last 1% of the work. Stop learning, start doing. This was another big one that I had to start repeating to myself. It's so easy to just learn and learn and learn and learn. And the truth of the matter is the world changes so quickly now that you're never going to learn how it works. The only way to do this game of business is to get into the trenches and start firing that gun. It's all chaos down here, guys. You got to get in the trenches, though. So stop learning, start doing. do things customers see, and the 99-1 rule. That's just 3 quick little things there. But yeah, I mean, it's mindset and focus are the most important things in business that are not very sexy, so people don't talk about them very often. But yeah, I mean, as your company continues to go, the mindset and the person and the work that's required to go from 0 to 100,000 is a completely different person that's required to go from 100 to 500, from 500 to 1 million. And this has been one of the greatest challenges in my life is, every time I get to a new revenue plateau, figuring out how do I have to change as an actual person now to take this company to the next level.
So as my role in the operations side, I obviously have a lot of experience in scaling operationally. So there was a point where we were pretty much plateauing sales in the beginning of about 250K a year. And that was because a lot of the time was spent doing things manually. So it got to the point where we got so frustrated that we figured we had to scale and optimize everything to the point where we broke down our processes, and we've automated our processes and our systems to the point where now if I have to take a step back, I'm able to. We have documents, processes in place to be able to scale, and for somebody who has never done something to be able to come in and at least be able to do it at an average level. And what that has helped us to be able to do is focus our energy, take our time away from all the operational side and put more hours into the marketing and the sales side. So by scaling operationally, we are now, the side benefit is we are able to scale the marketing and the sales because where more creative time, more man hours are required to think about like the sales process, the marketing campaigns that we need. That's not something that can be automated. That has to be done by a person, a creative team, to come up with different ad sets, different offers, different titles, different, how are we going to promote this type of product versus this, all the different campaigns that we're talking about. And so that's how it's helped us. And the way one of the biggest benefits we've done with scaling operationally is getting ourselves out of the data side. So we've created internal APIs. We use our internal tools so that we don't have to continually go into our reports over and over again, multiple times a day to see which products are doing well. What do we have to send out? Who has to do what? Okay, are we going to be running out of stock? When do we have to order this, etc.? All these issues that a lot of people have at the beginning stages, they were the bottleneck of really preventing us from growing and scaling and focusing on our sales. And so by automating that process with data-driven processes, with our own internal software tools, getting people on board with how to use those tools, that has pretty much freed up our team where we don't have to be constantly going back between our warehouse team, front-end team, back and forth. The back end and the warehouse guys, they know exactly what needs to go out, when it needs to go out, how much it needs to go out. And the front end knows that the back end has the data that they're seeing. And so they're able to just pretty much be hands off and focus now on, okay, how do we improve the PPC? How do we drive down our cost? What terms do we have to look up? Okay, maybe we have to come up with some new creative ways or a different angle of looking at this product now that it's reached a certain threshold. So that's how we've been able to scale by operational, which feeds into the sales and the marketing.
I like to divide it up into 3 different levels: basic, mid, and expert. So basic level people, they're going to be followers. That's roles like customer service. It could be following your listing process. It could be sourcing products or going through a whole sales sheet. It could be the bulk uploads that we talked about, getting someone to teach them how to do it and just have them do it over and over again. Then you've got the mid-level specialists. They do the same thing every day. It could be optimizing a listing. It could be graphic design. It could be creating videos. It could be the behind-the-scenes bookkeeping that you shouldn't be doing as the owner of your company. And then you got the experts. These are high-level freelancers, consultants, agencies. They're bringing their own strategies, their own expertise to the table. You can hire an agency to manage your entire account. You can hire a PPC expert like we talked about before. We have clients who will hire an Amazon expert and just keep them in their back pocket. So when a listing gets suppressed or Amazon does something and merges some different listings together, they can come in and fix that issue. So you have 3 different levels that you can hire for, and you kind of have to figure out, hey, do I have processes that I need people to follow? Do I have tasks that I need people to do? Or do I have things that I don't know how to do that, yeah, I could spend the next 6 months learning how to be a PPC expert, but at the end of the day, that's not a great use of your time, and you can't do that with all parts of the business. That's kind of the difference between the basic, the mid, and the expert. The basic level virtual assistant, $5 to $10 an hour, non-US, they might have years of Amazon or Shopify experience, but you have to teach them how you want it done, because the way you want it done might be different than the way that I do. So that's where you're really teaching. The mid-level people, I mean, you're not teaching a graphic designer how to be a graphic designer. You're not teaching someone who does Amazon listings how to do Amazon listings. They do that 8 hours a day. Now, you can collaborate with them. You might have your own thoughts, your own ideas. They have theirs. You talk it over and you come to an agreement. And it's very similar for the experts. I mean, you're not hiring an expert to come in and execute your strategy. They do their strategy on lots of different clients. You don't want them to experiment for the first time doing something different on your account. And again, it can be a collaboration. You can talk back and forth. You can give different ideas, but you're not teaching them how to do it. They're coming in because they have that expertise and they already had that experience. So it just depends what different level you have. And I mean, some people, they only hire the followers. And I was just talking to a client yesterday who has 10 virtual assistants from us, and they all follow his systems, his processes. Other clients, they only go the expert route, and other people that they mix and match. They use people for projects here. They got someone running their PPC. They maybe have a part-time VA. It really depends on what you're trying to do in your business.
I have a client who is currently, we're piping data into a Google spreadsheet. And you may not know this, but there's a limited something like 2 million rows or 2 million cells that you can put into a Google spreadsheet. Well, when we started this process for them, we under-anticipated the number of rows we were going to generate. And so pretty quickly, the spreadsheet started to grow and grow and grow to the point where when you opened it up, you had to wait 2 or 3 minutes for the spreadsheet to even load. And we were like, oh, this could be a problem. So like then we started putting Band-Aids on it where we were like, okay, now we're going to like make it so the spreadsheet gets shorter by having a new script in there that actually does that for you. And so like, okay, we're going to shrink it. When really we should have spent a little more time planning the automation and considering, okay, this is going to have more than 2 million rows in 2 months. So we probably should put this in a SQL database. Like choosing the right tools, I guess, is another mistake that we often see. But yeah, like not fully planning the attack process. And that's one where we probably should have done it manually a couple more times before we automated it, because we discovered after we turned it on that it was doing a lot more than we thought it was. So measuring automation on the product, actually measuring is actually one of my favorite things about automation. Okay, so if you're like doing cold calling or you're doing something manually, the worst part is measuring it. Like you have that successful sales call and you make a sticky note and you start writing down, they answered, they didn't answer, they wanted to buy, they answered. Like measuring it is probably one of the most painful parts. Well, if you're automating that process, adding an additional step that identifies the outcome of what happened is really easy. Like it takes about the same amount of time as it was to do those other steps, and then it's automatically populating a database somewhere, and you can hook that up to, like Google Sheets will hook up to Google Data Studio, and then all of a sudden you've got a dashboard that spits out your results. So like the rewards campaign that we talked about, like measuring the success of that is actually much easier than you'd consider. So there's tools like Supermetrics that can bring in all of your Facebook data, and then you could use, let's say that you're using Zapier and Typeform to pull in that stuff. You can link those two together so you can see, here's how much I spent on Facebook and here's how many leads I got. So there's automation creates the ability in a much easier fashion. There's no counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on your hands to figure that out. It's in a spreadsheet. You can look at it all.
definitely an important thing to do is to automate your business.
But really, if like the honest answer is that the biggest thing people should focus on is business in general. You know, building audiences, connecting with people, the actual ins and outs of how to run a business, and you know, their brand and their product, things like that, where people don't really think about this stuff. They just want an Amazon product online, and they're like, which Facebook ad is going to work? So again, I don't want to give a cookie cutter answer if someone's selling a fidget spinner and I've just told them that they've got to go and fix their Facebook ads. Now everyone's going to do Facebook ads for their fidget spinners. So it's not the right approach. The approach should be a holistic approach to the entire business, focusing on brand, where you have a really strong story behind your brand and you have multiple products in your brand. You have audiences, different audiences where you're collecting them. Audiences from Facebook is one of them. SEO might be another one. Making partnerships might be another one. You have to have multiple audiences, and then you have sales channels as well, multiple different sales channels, both on Amazon, on Shopify, and digital products. Selling digital products is a part of your main business as well. And all this kind of encompasses the whole business in general. So I think if people think about that instead of trying to hone down on the one missing piece, and they generally think about the whole bigger picture, then that actually is much more helpful. Then the pieces come together on their own. They know what's missing.
Once you know what your goal is, you need to take a look at who your customer is, meaning who's actually going to buy my business in 2 years. And so build a buyer persona, really go through the process of understanding what he or she or they look like. How much money did they make? What matters to them? What keeps them up at night? What's going to lower their anxiety? And then you need to, now that you understand your buyer, focus all of your efforts on adding value to that buyer persona. And so that's, you know, if I'm going to try to sell my business and I want to have a $10 million exit, then my buyer persona is a venture capital firm, and I need to orient my business around lowering risk profile for a VC firm or for a big banker. So think about that on a micro level. If I have a product and I understand that my customer tends to be a 35-year-old male, I'm 35. So let's just say I'm the customer. I want to take a look at Tyler Jefcoat and say, okay, what is Tyler like? Well, if Tyler hates Instagram, I'm not going to end up marketing on Instagram. If Tyler really cares about sports, he's a big University of Georgia fan, I need to orient the flavor, the language, the tone of my product offerings and my marketing efforts around who Tyler is, so that when Tyler sees them, he pulls the trigger and buys my product. And so I think that's the biggest advice I have for our sellers is don't fall in love with this baby that's your product. Take the time to understand who your audience is, who your customer is, who gives a rip about your products, and reverse engineer your marketing efforts and frankly, even your products around meeting the needs of that person.
We did everything together. And, you know, we basically double jobbed every single thing. We'd work on it continually together. And at the start that worked, that was very, very good because we got to the stage where we were able to go and start teaching. But then we quickly learned that, you know, two heads were kind of not better than one in one way because we were equally able to go and do our own thing. So Stephen really now takes to do with everything to do with sales and marketing of our Marketplace Superheroes business. And I do a lot of the deliverables, the content, the talking to students and things because, you know, I am the numbers guy. I'm the numbers guy behind this. I work formulas. I have spreadsheets in my head. I come up with all the softwares. And Stephen is very good on sales, marketing, looking at some of the channels that we use to promote our business. And again, inside the Amazon side, I was, you know, and still am the research person, researching products, researching numbers, looking at that. And maybe the little bit of marketing that we do in terms of photography, titles, bullet points, that's where he was good at as well. So we saw a beautiful kind of divide there, and it really, really worked.
Amazon is a very complex beast, and there are people out there, some of which you are interviewing, like Kevin King and Jim Cockrum, that kind of understand everything, the PPC, the listings, the graphics, the changes that Amazon's making. But the average Amazon seller isn't going to be good at all parts of Amazon. So what you want to do as you grow is surround yourself with people that can do all the different things that you can't do. People who have probably been on Amazon longer than you have, people who are staying up to date on different changes, are taking different courses. We know that there's a lot of different experts, gurus, courses out there, and it's all good information that you have to figure out how to apply to your business. So whether it's hiring a virtual assistant who's really good at bulk uploads, who can just do those for you so you don't end up just redoing them over and over, or a graphic designer that knows how to make images that comply to Amazon standards and stands out among the competition, or hiring an Amazon expert or PPC expert to come in and actually optimize listings, drive sales. So for me, it's all about figuring out what you are actually good at. If you're good at sourcing products, you should be spending that first few years, most of your time, sourcing products. If you're good at writing listings or you're good at PPC, whatever that is, focus on your strength, your core competency, and hire people around you to do those other small things on Amazon, or sometimes big things on Amazon, to help make your Amazon business whole, so you're doing everything at a high level. If you can't afford ongoing work, which some Amazon sellers can't, they might not be able to hire a $200 a week virtual assistant or someone to manage their account once a month. Think of it more in projects. What's your best selling product? Let's just pay someone to optimize that one listing, and then you're done, and you can always go back to them for another project. Look at where your weaknesses are. Do you need better graphics? Do you not have product videos? Do you want someone to just audit your business for a few hours and give you some feedback so that you can go and address that feedback? So you don't have to think of everything as you're committing for life or you're committing for 3 months or a year. You can break it down into projects and get those projects done, which will hopefully increase sales, and that'll allow you to invest more in your business long term.
So we've worked on several campaigns where, you know, we're taking data that's coming in and automating the follow-up process, or we're, you know, trying to enhance the overall brand that's there. We work a lot on the operations side as well, but you know, okay. So if I could tell you one thing as an e-commerce seller that's gonna promote your brand, it's do it right for the customer every time, right? So you worked your butt off to get that customer to come into you, and then they bought something, but your inventory was actually incorrect on your website. And so when you go to buy it, you got to go ship it out, you don't have it. Well, that process is obviously a very negative experience. And so if you can preemptively, one of the automations we did for one of my clients was we preemptively looked to see if that was available, and we immediately emailed the client and said, hey, bad news, this is actually not in stock. We are currently checking on it. And then we had an automatic delay of 3 days, and we checked to see if it was in stock again. If it was out of stock again, we sent them another email that said, hey, this is out of stock. So promoting your business isn't always about going and finding new customers. It's about refining the process you currently have so that you don't mess it up, because that's where people are going to refer you to other businesses. So I know it's all about promotion, right? And I focus a lot on the operations side. But if you can't perfect what's going on inside the machine now, why waste all the money to put new people into a broken machine? Like, fix what's working there. So, I mean, that process, you know, you'd think like that out of stock notification, that's not promoting my business. Yes, it is, because that individual is going to have a positive or negative experience with your brand, and that is going to promote your business.
On my Gmail, I use this tool, Yesware. It helps me to track all the emails like I'm doing right now, and it helps me to keep reminders. Like if I forget, like I have to email you after 1 month. So Yesware is very nice tool. So you can also use it for your emails. It's mostly for Gmails, and so I've been using this tool, and this tool helps me to keep a track of my emails and reminders. And it's a very nice tool that I've been using right now.
VA probably isn't going to help you just drive sales if you don't know what you're doing. For you to hire a $5 an hour VA and say, hey, I don't know anything about Facebook ads, go run Facebook ads on my account, you're probably not going to have a good experience. Now, where the VA does come into play, and this actually happened yesterday too, we have a client who knows Facebook ads very well, but he's running a lot of different ads. He has an Amazon software company. He's got an Amazon account. He's got a Shopify store, and he doesn't want to be going into every single ad every single day making adjustments. But he has this process that he does over and over and over again. So he taught a VA that to do every single process. They're going in, they're sending him reports every day. He can give feedback, he can give tweaks. If one day he wants to log in and make changes, Prime Day just passed. So before Prime Day, he went into every single one and made sure everything was good. That's fine too. But if you're really looking to drive sales and you don't know how to do it, we always recommend hiring an expert to come in and to start off, just look at what you're doing. Do that big overview. I'm sure they'll have a lot of questions. I'm sure they'll want to do research on your competition, on your type of products, on the time of year, on the pricing, every single part of it. And from there, they can create a plan or maybe even multiple plans and options, and you can work with them to tweak and adjust that plan. And once you agree to it, then you can start on executing it. So it's almost like two different ends of the spectrum. You either know how to do it and you can teach it, or you don't know how to do it and you got to hire that expert to come in and create a plan that actually makes sense for your budget and your business.
First thing I would recommend doing is going and getting a Zapier account. I get no affiliate commissions or anything like that from Zapier. I am a Zapier certified expert, so if you go on Zapier and you have a problem, you can call me and I can help you with it. But I would go get a Zapier account and I would connect my Amazon account to my Zapier account and look at the actions, and there's all sorts of different things. So you can listen for a new order and then have something else happen. Just understanding the sheer concept of being able to set up a domino that automatically tips over and then knowing what other dominoes you can stack up gives you the ability to recognize what you can automate and what you can't. So the first thing I would do is go set that up so that this concept of deciding what can and can't be automated is possible and easy. And once that concept becomes a thing, then you can start to think, oh, wait, if I could set up a trigger over here or a listener over here that listens for this, I could probably knock that ball over. And you start to get this methodology or this concept down and can kind of start tackling some of that. The only downside that I've seen is it's when you haven't planned appropriately, and it crops up most when you automate too quickly. It's when the automation creates more work than it was worth, or when you've spent 5 or 6 hours automating something that only saved you 15 minutes. So automation, the real downside is some of its inflexibility. Like once you've got it automated, you've invested a lot of time in that. And so if the business requires you to change products or to change landing pages or to change website services, switch from Shopify to BigCommerce or do one of these massive changes, if you've invested a lot of time, you may be unwilling to reinvest and re-automate. And so you'll stick with that platform that you shouldn't have stayed with. So automation becomes an investment in time, but it's also a sunk cost. You can't consider, oh, well, I'd have to redo all of that. Yeah, you're right, you would. You have to remember that sometimes it's worth letting that automation go and redoing it manually.
Another very important thing is to have insurance when you start with your products in the shipment. I've lost a lot of money because I didn't believe in insurance at the time. And that's very, very important. Funny story, the whole shipment and the whole cargo flooded. So I lost around 5,000 sets of my product. That's huge.